No matter how woke our culture becomes, one thing will always remain true. The more attractive you are, the more you win at life. Generally speaking, the more people you can draw towards you, the more opportunities you'll be afforded. Now, when I use the words attraction, attractive, and attract, I'm not just talking about romantic attraction. Humans are hardwired to gravitate towards those we find attractive. This is for two main reasons. One, for survival. If we see someone who looks sickly or dangerous, we innately want to stay away from them so that we don't become sick or become in danger. The second reason is we want to pass on our DNA and we want our offspring to have the best chance at succeeding. When we see someone we consider romantically attractive, our brain is subconsciously telling us, this person looks healthy. If I procreate with this person, my offspring will be healthy. So whether for romantic or other reasons, you'll be giving yourself the best shot at life if you present as a more attractive person. Now, more attractive than whom? Well, either more attractive than you are right now, more attractive than you were in the past, or more attractive than the other people who are seeking the same opportunities you are. Now, of course, you can succeed in life without being considered conventionally attractive. However, the tips I'm going to share in this video will help anyone of any gender, any age, any race, class, ethnic group, nationality, shape, size, whatever your classification, whomever you are. These tips are going to help you become more attractive and therefore help you succeed more in life. Before anyone even speaks to you, their brain is making micro calculations and deciding whether they should invest time, energy, effort, and resources into you. For that reason, you want to exude confidence so that when people see you from far away, they look at you and think, I want to talk to that person. I want to get to know that person. That person looks like someone I should know. How do you exude confidence? Well, a few different ways. Now, before I mention any of this, if any of these tips feel unnatural to you, you're gonna have to fake it till you make it. The important part about this is for all of these things to come across as being natural and not forced and not like you're trying too hard. But at first it might feel awkward if you're not used to doing these things. So just fake it, fake it, fake it, practice, practice, practice. Eventually this will become a part of who you are. The first part of confidence is posture. Posture is so important because from far away, I can tell if someone is confident, if someone is secure or insecure. Now, if you have poor posture, it could also be due to a medical condition. If you have scoliosis, for example, or sometimes older people over time, they start to hunch forward. And there are a few things you can do to help with this. Of course, seeing a doctor is the most important. And also apparently yoga helps with posture. I remember seeing a news segment about this elderly woman who was hunched forward, and after a certain time of doing yoga, it fixed her posture. I was actually blown away by this, and for that reason, I encourage everyone to do yoga, no matter what your age or your skill set, even if you're not flexible. Yoga is actually really good for your entire body. That is one way to help improve your posture right away. Now, what should your posture look like? Like I mentioned, hunching forward is a sign of insecurity. So you want to sit or stand, or basically any time you move around, unless you're like leaning forward to pick up something, you want to keep your shoulders back. This does two things. It obviously helps keep your skeletal structure in proper alignment, but it also allows you to make direct eye contact with people. Before I get into the eye contact part, there was something I heard earlier that I thought was really cool and a cool way to frame it. When you're hunched forward, you're closing off your heart to the world. But when you put your shoulders back, you are directing your heart towards the people and you're being opening and inviting. So if that helps you remember it, just remember to keep your heart open, and the only way to do that is to put your shoulders back. This is one thing I've seen a lot. Now, I am 5'11". I've always liked being tall. I've always been encouraged for my height, and for that reason, I never slouch, and well, also because my grandma really instilled with me that posture was important, and whenever she would come to visit, she would make me stand up against a wall and make sure I was standing straight. So I've always stood straight, and it's one thing people notice about me from far away. People are always commenting about how good my posture is, and I think it's also extra noticeable because I'm tall. Typically, tall women or tall girls tend to slouch because they're insecure about being tall, either because they're taller than all the boys their age, or they're taller than a lot of the men they're attracted to. And in our society, it's not okay for women or girls to be taller than the guys they're dating for heterosexual relationships, which is absurd, but it is part of our society, at least in America. And so a lot of tall American women and girls tend to slouch. And so even if you're tall, guess what? There are a lot of people out there who will love that. It's time to stop focusing on the naysayers and focusing on the people who have positive things to say about you. I've gotten a lot of positive attention because of my height, but not just that, my posture as well. If I were my height but I slouched all the time, people might notice that I was tall, but they would also notice that I looked not very confident, and they probably wouldn't even mention my height. But I mean, who knows? But I can tell you this, being tall is awesome. Also, if you're not tall, that's awesome too. I mean, whatever you are is totally fine. But this is specifically to my tall girls and tall women out there who feel insecure. Let me tell you something, there are a lot of people out there who would kill to be your height. Trust me. So many people tell me, oh, I wish I was tall. And when I'm in the grocery store, I get asked to lift things off the shelves for people, more specifically shorter elderly women, and they're always so sweet. They're like, oh my gosh, your height, you're so beautiful, you're so tall, I wish I was tall. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get that thing off the shelf for you because you were nice to me. But no matter what your height is, having good posture is always going to make people respect you more. It just makes you look more confident, and people respect confidence. Now, eye contact, I did mention that. It is really important when you're speaking with someone to make eye contact. Now, there's a difference between eye contact and staring someone down. You don't want to intimidate people by just staring at them the entire time, whether you're talking or they're talking. It's good to look away occasionally, but look back at them. If they're in a really important part of a story they're telling you, it is important to look them in the eyes. Now, you will find as you become more confident, sometimes other people don't make eye contact back. And that is because they don't feel confident for whatever reason. It could just be in that moment. It could be their general state of being, but it is something you will pick up on. Now, of course, it is impossible to make eye contact with someone who isn't looking at you with their eyes. Do your best to continue looking at them. But do understand that some people aren't going to be at your level by the time you develop a certain level of confidence. That's okay. Don't let it break your confidence. Just continue to look at them while they're speaking. Look at them when you're speaking. It's a sign of respect. Also, when you are in circles or around people who understand this, they will appreciate that you're looking directly at them. Another thing is smiling. If you are having a positive interaction with someone, or even before they approach you and they look like maybe they want to approach you, giving a little smile, it doesn't have to be too intense, is a way to invite people in. So not only if your shoulders are back are you pointing your heart out to them, but then if you give them a smile, even if just a small one, it tells them, hey, I'm friendly, you can talk to me. That being said, sometimes when I'm out and about and I don't want people to talk to me, I will not smile. So that's a little reverse tip for you. Now, in terms of smiles, I think for the most part, people know what they look like when they smile because they've seen photos of themselves. But as a photographer, I can tell you sometimes, and this especially happens with kids, when you tell them to smile, they do that because they're just like, okay, I'm smiling, but they're not really interested in the session necessarily at first, and so I have to engage with them and do things to make them actually smile. Sometimes the parent has to tickle them so they get a genuine smile, or I'll ask their sibling to go behind me and do silly faces so that they have a natural smile. What you want to do when you smile at people is have a natural, genuine smile. Now, a way to know that if you have a genuine smile is if your eyes crinkle in the corners. In fact, if you look at someone and you see them smiling, but you look at their eyes, their cheeks aren't raised up, they're probably forcing it. So you want to smile with your whole face. If you want to be inviting to people, if you have a nice set of teeth, flash them some white teeth. If you have an insecurity about your teeth, you can smile without showing your teeth, but still you always want to make it look genuine and natural by engaging your whole face. Now, if you do have a good set of teeth and you like to smile with your teeth, I feel like most adults understand this. People a lot of times grow out of it. I see kids do this more often than adults, but I'm just going to throw this out there because not everyone is self-aware enough to recognize this. But you want to smile only showing the top row of your teeth. You don't want to show your gums. Now, sometimes when I'm laughing really hard, my gums show, and that's totally fine, but this is just a general guideline. If you show both sets of teeth, your top and your bottom, it can look really awkward, as you see. Even if I engage my whole face, that looks really scary. Sometimes every now and then I see adults smile with both rows of their teeth showing, and it's a little off-putting. In the animal kingdom, it is a sign of aggression. It doesn't always translate that way with humans, but it does, in my opinion. It generally looks awkward. So if you realize that you smile showing both rows of your teeth, try to practice relaxing your smile a little bit. If you tend to show your upper gums when you smile, try to relax your upper lip a little bit. Now, we all have different mouth structures, and some people's front row teeth stick out a little bit more, and so when they lift their upper lip, their gums show naturally. So if that's the case for you, you might not be able to hide your gums, but you just want to maybe relax your smile a little bit more, just so that it's not too much in people's face. And generally speaking, just showing your top row of teeth when you smile is a nice, happy balance. It shows people I have a nice set of teeth, I'm happy, I'm inviting, but I'm not showing you too much. A couple other notes about confidence. Your energy. Now, I don't mean energy in a woo-woo way, because some people don't really understand what all of that is about, but typically speaking, we give off an energy. When we are moving really fast, we give off an excited energy. When we're jittery, we give off a nervous energy. When we are relaxed and still, we give a calm energy. Now, you've probably been in at least one situation where you're in a room with someone who can't stop fidgeting, or is just jittery, or is pacing back and forth. All of these mannerisms and gestures can tend to make the other person, who might have been you in this case, feel anxious or nervous. It's because the energy they're giving off is chaotic. We typically don't like to be around chaotic energy if it doesn't match the setting. Now, if you're at a sports game, a lot of people are going to be excited and shouting and cheering at the right times, right? You expect that, and so it might not make you nervous. But if you're in a library and someone stands up and starts shouting, you're probably gonna be a little anxious when you hear them shouting, because it doesn't match the setting. You wanna always match the setting you're in to your comfort level. If you're an introvert, of course, you aren't going to be able to handle being excitable for a long period of time, even if the environment is conducive towards that energy. That's understandable. But generally speaking, you want to kind of match the energy of the room, unless it's a toxic environment, in which case, get out of there as soon as you can. But the same goes with driving. They say drive the speed limit, right? But you also want to go with the flow of traffic. So that means if everyone else around you is driving 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, you want to go with that flow, unless you're all the way in the right lane where you can drive slow, because if you don't, you're kind of disrupting the flow of traffic. Well, similarly, when you enter a room and you don't match the energy, you might end up disrupting the flow or the energy of the room. Now, when you first enter a room, people aren't necessarily going to expect you to immediately acclimate to your settings. But for example, if you go to a party and you sit at the wall and you don't talk to anyone, people are going to think, what's wrong with that person? And if you're an introvert, that's really kind of unfair, right? Because maybe you do want to get out and socialize, but because of your introversion, you might be a little overwhelmed, and that's understandable. However, just understand that if you are that person standing on the wall while everyone else is hanging out and having a good time, they're going to probably assume you're no fun, and they might not actually want to engage with you, because they know that, or they assume that it's going to require a lot of their own energy to get you going. And maybe that's an inaccurate assessment. Maybe if they came and talked to you, you would be energized and reciprocate their energy, but you're shy perhaps, and you don't know how to introduce yourself to people. Just understand that you can't expect people to put themselves out there to come to you if you're not willing to meet them halfway. So if this is you, maybe work on socializing more. If you can, I mean, if you're an introvert, that's asking a lot, but try to practice, maybe even hang out with one person every now and then who you're comfortable with, and then maybe hang out with someone you're comfortable with and a second person. Now you've got two people to practice matching their energy with, and over time you'll just keep practicing and you'll get better and better at it. The worst thing you can do in a social setting is spend the entire time you're there not engaging with anyone and not even trying to match the energy of the room. It's just off-putting. It makes it awkward for everyone else. Now again, if you're an introvert and you're in a room full of extroverts, I totally get it. It can be totally overwhelming. So maybe what you want to do is give yourself a time limit. If you're invited to an event and you're dreading it because you are an introvert and you already know you're going to be drained after, maybe tell yourself, okay, I'm going to go for 30 minutes and then I'm going to leave. No matter what anyone says, I tell them I have to leave. Now you can even make up a story so that no one can try to make you stay. Like, I'm so sorry, I have to leave. I have a Zoom call with my mom at 3 p.m. and I cannot miss it because she's in a different time zone and she's going to go to bed and I don't want to miss it. It's, whatever. Make up a story if you have to. One that, isn't like too far of a stretch that you can easily get out of the room to attend to and people won't think you're being weird. And then be gracious when you do leave and thank everyone and say your goodbyes and everything like that. But if you are going to decide to go to an event or an engagement of some sort, be prepared to shift your energy a little bit. Let's assume you go to an event, you want to stay, you want to engage with people, but you just don't know how. Well, best thing you could do is match their energy. Now, you still want to be yourself. I'm not suggesting you should be a chameleon and completely change your personality, but as humans, a lot of us, most of us, are multifaceted. We don't just like one thing, right? So if you go to a room full of new people, well, maybe start talking to someone, start asking them questions about themselves. Eventually, you're going to find something in common, even if that's just you both love the same restaurant across the street. Something is going to spark your interest and you're going to be able to talk more about that. But in general, you want to somewhat match the energy of the room. That is the same for the opposite direction. If you are an excitable person and you're generally loud and boisterous and you are an extrovert, but you go to a yoga class, you're going to need to tone it down, right? Because you don't want to disrupt the energy of the environment by being loud and boisterous, right? It just doesn't match. So whatever the environment, just make sure your energy at least somewhat matches. Now, of course, still be yourself, but just tap into the part of yourself that best matches the energy of that room. You got it in there somewhere. I know you do. Now, one of the most important parts of confidence, which I probably should have mentioned first, but save the best for last, is letting go of your insecurities. Being rooted in who you are, understanding that we all have things about ourselves we don't like, and some of those things we can't change. Now, especially if it's something you can't change, there's really no point in stressing out about it. I know it's easier said than done. Trust me, I get it. But if you literally can't do anything about it, or at least you can't do anything about it right now, like something about your physical appearance might require a surgery to fix, you're gonna just need to fake it till you make it. Pretend it doesn't bother you. Make sure that you actually sit with yourself and find time to appreciate other parts of yourself so much that that thing that you're insecure about ends up not mattering anymore. One of the best ways to appear confident is to actually not care what people think and also just accept yourself for who you are. And when you combine those two attributes, you can be confident because no matter what anyone says about the insecurity you have or used to have, you're like, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. I know who I am. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm this. I know I'm that. I know I'm talented. I know I'm intelligent. I know I can fix a car. I know I've got so many things going for me. What does it matter what that person thinks about my hair or my skin color or my height, right? Some things you just can't change and you shouldn't have to want to. And if it is an insecurity of yours, perhaps you grew up in an environment that didn't encourage your looks or didn't encourage the thing you're insecure about, or even made fun of the thing you're insecure about or the things you're insecure about. And that's unfortunate, but it's time for you to stop listening to the naysayers. You have good qualities, we all do. Even if it's just that you are actively improving yourself, that's a great thing that not a lot of people can say. That's something to be proud of. And so sit in that pride of the positive aspects of your being. If you're not able to completely get rid of your insecurity, focus on the positive. So, for example, if you don't like your height. Maybe you feel like you're too tall or feel like you're too short. Focus on the fact that your body gets you to where you need to go. You're healthy. Whatever the case may be, focus on the positive things about yourself, and eventually you will just start to love yourself more and more, and either your height won't be a problem anymore, or you'll have so many other things you like about yourself that it will just not even be an issue. Now, another way to feel and look confident is to wear clothes that not only fit you, but that suit your body type. Forget about the trends, forget about what other people say you should wear. Wear, first of all, what's comfortable for you, but second of all, wear what's flattering to your figure. If you're tall like I am, you already know it's hard to find pants that fit, right? You always look like you're waiting for a flood. When I was growing up, people didn't like to wear high waters. Now, fashion's all over the place, so it probably doesn't really matter. Now, because that notion was instilled in me, I don't feel comfortable wearing high water pants. So whenever I do wear pants, which isn't often because I live in a hot climate, but when I do wear jeans, I roll them up from the bottom so that it looks like I'm intentionally wearing pants that are short, like it's a style and not like I can find pants that fit me. I try to avoid skirts and dresses that come to my ankles because I personally don't like that look. I like them to either come all the way to the floor or to be partway down my calves, but I feel like when they're at my ankles, it looks like I couldn't find clothes that fit me. But hey, if you like that style and you think it looks good on you, wear it. Again, going back to not worrying about what the trends are, I wear high-waisted clothes all the time. Now, this became trendy like, I want to say maybe 5 years or so ago. I'd have to double check, but I still wear it because I found that that look is flattering on me, and it doesn't matter to me if the style is in anymore or not, because people are more likely going to think I look good if the clothes fit my body type, rather than if I just wear what's trendy but it looks awkward on me, right? No one's gonna compliment you for wearing something that doesn't look good on you. Doesn't matter to me if it's in style right now, because what matters is I feel comfortable, and because I feel comfortable, I feel confident, and because I feel confident, I exude confidence. And I also try to get clothes that cinch at the waist, and what this does is it creates the illusion that my waist is smaller than it is. It creates that in and then out ever so slightly on me, but it still creates that somewhat of a shape, and apparently that hourglass is a really attractive shape on women. I'm a tall, slender, broad shoulder. I'm more like an athletic build, so I'm never gonna look like that. That is a nice silhouette. So I have dresses that do that, and I think it's a nice look. So if you have that body type, or you're trying to create that effect, or you have insecurities about the lower half of your body, you can buy clothes that cinch at the waist and then flow down at the bottom. I'm gonna have to do a whole separate video on dressing for your body type because there's way too much to cover, but just a general note, you should dress for your body type and don't worry about the trends. Speaking of wardrobe, making sure your clothes are always clean, both visually and odor-wise, as well as being wrinkle-free, are imperative to upping your attractive level. You may have experienced this. Maybe you've gone to a party or an event and you start talking to someone and you start paying attention to what they're wearing, and you notice they've got stains on their clothes, maybe even some holes, they've got wrinkles, they just look unkempt, and that's essentially what it does. It makes people think you look unkempt. It makes you look lazy. It makes it look like you don't care. It's really important to take pride in your appearance if you want people to find you attractive. Now, certainly there are people who are confident even with dirty, dingy, wrinkly clothes, and maybe it's because they lack the self-awareness to realize that those things are off-putting. Maybe no one's ever told them. But this is a video about how to make you more attractive. So if you want people to think of you as a more attractive person and you don't already do these things, make sure from now on, you never leave the house in wrinkled clothes, no matter what. I keep a steamer at my place. It's easier than having an iron and an ironing board and starch and all that stuff. Steamer is really fairly quick and easy to use, and it works on most fabric, and it's just a quick way to get those wrinkles out and look presentable. We've probably all experienced this where you're wearing something and then you get a snag and then you get a hole in it. Now, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm referring to when I talk about holes in your clothes is like moth holes, and you just keep wearing the clothes over and over again, and it gets worse and worse and worse. It just doesn't look good. I'm not saying I've never done it, and also for that matter, I'm not saying I always follow all the rules in this video, but whenever I do, or when I follow most of them, I do notice that I get more of the things I want. More people are drawn to me, more people compliment me, more people give me things, and so that's why I'm telling you all these things. I'm just trying to help you. Now, if you have a clothing item that's come apart at the seam, perhaps the quality wasn't that great, but you love it, maybe get it tailored, or if you can sew it yourself. I've made it a point to stop wearing clothes that have torn or ripped just because I love them. I have them in a bag and I plan to get them fixed because though I can sew, enough to save my life, I don't really care to sit down and sew all of these items. And so at some point I plan to take these items to a tailor or seamstress to get them all fixed. But honestly, I've looked back through the bag recently and I'm like, oh, I don't even want this anymore. So that being said, if you can afford to get your clothes sewn and fixed, maybe do that if you absolutely love them. But I would say it's best not to wear clothes that have holes in them where they're not supposed to be. Now, there's a caveat to this. There was a time when I had these jeans I absolutely loved. I wore them so much that they ripped underneath the butt. And because I'm the fashionista I am, I'm like, bet, let's make this a thing. I kept wearing them. I didn't care because I realized actually that's kind of a look. But what I would do is wear leggings underneath so that you could see the leggings through. And then it came to a point where they were so ripped that I just had to tear them and turn them into shorts, which was still a vibe because I wore the leggings and the shorts over them. I at least thought it was cute at the time, and that was kind of like in at the time. I mean, I don't know that everyone was wearing them. I think it was like a London or European style that some people in the States adopted, and I was here for it. I was living for it. Then the shorts ripped more and they started ripping vertically, and I was like, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, but I kept wearing it until I was like, all right, that's enough. I think I've outdone these. And also the leggings started getting really thin and they were like from Forever 21, but I loved the pattern or the design on them. They were floral, and I really want to find leggings like that again. I feel like they're not in style, but they were so cute. Like they're, in my opinion, cuter than just plain like solid color leggings. But anyway, I made that a thing, but generally speaking, I don't wear clothes with holes in them anymore. I decided to level myself up like a few years ago, and I was like, all right, we're not trying to give off that kind of look. I don't want to say words that might be offensive, so I'm just gonna say I'm not trying to look like I don't have money, even if I don't. Basically, one way to look attractive, especially if you want to attract things into your life that will level you up, is to look the part, or at least try your best to look the part. And one way to not look the part is to wear raggedy clothes. If it's a style, make it intentional, make it like obvious that it's a style and not like, whoops, I don't have $10 to buy a new shirt. Next up is groomed hair. Whatever your hairstyle, whatever your facial hair situation, make sure your hair is groomed as much as you possibly can. When my hair gets out of control and I don't have time to twist it, I don't do this much anymore, but sometimes I'll wrap it and then I instantly look put together and no one can see that my hair needs to be redone. Although with my afro hair, people don't know what it's supposed to look like anyway, so I can kind of get away with a lot. No one's gonna make a comment about my hair because it's not woke to like tell people that their curly hair isn't cute. That being said, I think my hair looks best when it's either freshly twisted or if I untwist it but I put it in a style. Although looking like you rolled out of bed and didn't care is kind of a look for some people. I don't know. You still have to be intentional about it, I think. It really depends on your look, right? If you can roll out of bed and provided you don't smell bad and you can get away with just wearing your hair in its completely natural state, do you, as long as you don't look like you just rolled out of bed, unless, I don't know, I guess unless that's getting you somewhere. I would say more often than not, it's not the look that people are attracted to. I'm just gonna say that. The messy bun thing, that's still an intentional thing, right? Even though it's messy, you're still putting it up, right? It's still an intentional look that you're going for. So whatever your situation is, maybe you need to get regular haircuts, maybe you need to get your hair styled, if you do your hair yourself, whatever the case may be. If you are feeling too lazy and you don't want to spend a lot of time on your hair, do something with it. Hair ties are a good go-to. if you have long enough hair to put it in hair tie. If you have short hair, just making sure that whatever the style is you're going for, that it's well groomed and well manicured. If you have facial hair, making sure it's well groomed. If you don't want facial hair, if you're a feminine person like myself, we all grow hair, we're all humans, we're all mammals, but if you don't want it showing, just making sure you're groomed. I actually got this really nifty hair removal thing from Ross. It's dirty because my powder broke and got all over it, but what's cool about it is it's not a razor, so you don't have to worry about getting bumps. It's essentially like a weed whacker with a plate over it. It also has a light, by the way. And you put it against your skin. The hairs go through these little holes, and then the weed whacker on the inside takes the hair off. So it just ends up looking smooth. I don't get like bumps or that look like I shaved my face, which is really nice and convenient. And then when I'm actually at home and I have time, I will pluck the hairs that aren't supposed to be there. But I can use this on my, what would be a unibrow and like around a little bit. But for precision, I need to actually use tweezers. All right, so I covered a lot of the bases as far as attracting people from far away. And from far away, I mean, if you're like way down the street, you might be able to attract someone who from way down the street if you cover those bases, because honestly, they can get a glimpse of you from far away and they're doing their micro calculations and they'll be like, that person has good posture. I think from across the street, you can see if someone has good posture. That person looks like they have a good, nice hairdo. Oh, that person has a cute outfit on and it fits them. I'm gonna go talk to them, right? Their brain is still doing these micro calculations. And as they get closer, if some things start looking a little off, they might be like, never mind. So I'm gonna now go over the things that you wanna take care of so that when people get closer to you, they're still gonna find you attractive. Now, one of the most important factors in being attractive when people are close up to you is your skin. Now, we all have varying degrees of skin health. Unfortunately, some people have rosacea, eczema, get hives, have allergies, have acne. If you're one of those people, I assume you've already spoken to doctors and are getting that taken care of. If not, now's your cue to go ahead and make a doctor's appointment if you can afford it. Now, the things that are more readily available and more within your control are the following. Sun exposure. If you're one of those people who likes to sit and bake in the sun, stop that right now. All you're doing is accelerating your visible aging signs. Too much sun exposure is going to cause wrinkles. It's going to cause your skin to look and feel rough. And overall, it's just going to make you look older prematurely. And of course, as we all know, too much sun exposure could eventually lead to skin cancer, which is the worst skin affliction of all. Now, if you already have wrinkles or rough skin because of your sun exposure, it doesn't mean you should just give up. You can stop rapid signs of aging now, no matter how old you are. We all need a certain level of sun exposure in order to get adequate amount of vitamin D we need. But beyond that, you're just baking your skin. Wearing sunscreen is obviously very important, even under makeup if you wear makeup. And I personally like to use a parasol or an umbrella, and that's actually pretty effective. Crazy enough, after moving to Hawaii, I found out I had a vitamin D deficiency, which I thought was crazy because I'm outside all the time as part of my job, which is an outdoor portrait photographer. But what was really doing it was the parasol. It actually was that effective. Now, of course, you gotta live your life, but the more mindful you are of sun exposure, the more you're going to be able to preserve your youthful appearance, which is really attractive to a lot of people, which that sounded weird, but you know what I mean. All right, also, as far as skincare goes, you wanna have clean skin. Cleansing regularly is very important. What I do in the mornings is I use an exfoliant, and I'm very gentle with it. I don't put pressure on my skin because it's actually said that you shouldn't exfoliate every single day. But I do gently scrub off the dead skin, and then if I've worn makeup, then I use a cleanser. If I haven't worn makeup, depending on how my skin feels, I might still use a cleanser and then tone after, or I might just skip it all together. But I kind of listen to my skin, and based on what it looks like it needs and feels like it needs, that's what I do. The cleaner you keep your skin, the better you're going to be able to combat things like acne. Now, some people have a deeper issue as far as acne goes and actually have to take medication. But if you get the occasional blemish, cleaning your skin more thoroughly Regularly is definitely going to help with that. Also, you want to keep your skin moisturized. I don't typically put lotion on my face because I tend to get really oily, but if you live in a dry climate, you want to moisturize. And what I've noticed with my arms and legs and hands and feet is they typically look more youthful than people would expect. And I think a lot of it has to do, of course, with sun exposure, but then also the moisturizing, because my skin isn't dry and cracked and flaky, it appears more youthful. Moving right along, nails. Now, I don't wear nail polish because it chips instantly. I'm too rough. I move my hands around in my purse and I'm grabbing things all the time, and so it's just a waste of time, and what it ends up doing is chipping my actual nails. But what I try to do is make sure I keep oil on my cuticles and around the edges. If I look at my hands and the skin around my fingernails are looking dry, then I'll put a little bit of oil on them, and I put lotion on my hands all the time. Also, I like to keep my nails short. It's just more conducive to my lifestyle. If you like having nails, having super long nails apparently is a little bit off-putting, but I know that's a trend thing. But anyway, if you want to look more attractive, having short nails is actually more desirable apparently. And I think it's less off-putting because when you have long nails, it maybe looks a little more scary. Like, I think the subconscious thought is they're like claws. I think logically we can see, okay, they're just acrylics or whatever, but typically shorter nails tend to be more attractive to people. That being said, do you, if you want to wear long nails, do your thing. But if you do, no matter what length your nails are, having them well manicured is key. Whether you actually wear nail polish or you just make sure that your fingernails are clean underneath, that's really important. Make sure your fingernails are clean. Whenever I look at someone and I notice their fingernails are dirty, it makes me feel dirty. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but it's just one of those things. Once you see it, if you're someone who likes to be clean and you see someone has dirty nails, unless it's like they were just gardening or something and there's a reasonable explanation for it, or like I get when I'm doing my makeup, sometimes it gets under my nails and I try to clean it out as best as possible. I definitely saw a guy one time, he had a lot of dirt under his nails, and I honestly had no idea what it was from because his job, as far as I knew, didn't have anything to do with mechanics. So I was like, I don't think that's oil. Like, it just looked like he did not clean his fingernails, and his fingernails were long, and it was not it. Let's just put it that way. So if you don't want people to have that reaction when they look at your nails, make sure they're always clean. Make sure they're well groomed, whether they're longer or on the shorter side. Just make sure that they've got some shape to them. I like to have the flat square look personally. I just think it looks nicer on my fingers, but whatever your style is, just make sure your nails are clean and your skin is nice and moisturized around your fingernails. Also, you don't want to be walking around with tons of chips, and whenever I get a chip, I keep nail files with me all the time, and so whenever I get a chip, I try to file it down immediately because it snags on the clothes if you have a chip, but then also I just don't like the way it looks or feels. So yeah, keeping your nails groomed, manicured, clean, very important. Also, if you keep your fingernails moisturized, they're less likely to crack and break. All right, we are nearing towards the end here. We've got a lot of stuff that we covered so far, but how to be more attractive, another way is hygiene, going along with the clean and groomed nails. Hygiene includes making sure you're bathed and you don't stink. Now, I live in a hot climate, so I often find I have to reapply deodorant or wash up a second time. If you are in a similar situation, make sure you do that, or keep something with you that smells good, but that's not overpowering. You don't want to cover up a bad smell with a really strong smell. That's just off-putting. If you can, take a bird bath, wash your armpits if you can, somewhere discreetly, and just make sure you shower every day. I mean, that's really important. I would recommend always using soap. You don't have to get soap that lathers. The lather apparently isn't necessary, but just make sure you clean at least once a day, twice a day if you need to. You can never be too clean as far as hygiene goes. I guess you can be too clean if you use like antibacterial and that soap, and that kills the good germs too. But you know, what I'm getting at here is opt for being extra clean as opposed to being dirty. And you will attract people, or at the very least, you won't make people want to run away from you. And this also ties into having clean teeth and fresh breath. I have seen people, when I'm talking to them, I look at their teeth. I don't know, I feel like I can hear okay, but sometimes maybe I am not able to hear well. And so if I look at their mouths, I can read what they're saying. So I notice teeth, and I've seen some dirty teeth. I've seen teeth caked with film, and I'm like, how are you okay with this? I'm sorry. I know I said I didn't want to be judgmental, but that is where I draw the line. Like, how do you not feel that your teeth are dirty? Do you not brush your teeth every day? Like, there's no way if you brush your teeth every day, your teeth could look like that. So brush your teeth, Y'all, this is a non-negotiable. Brush your teeth at least twice a day. Brush your tongue, helps get rid of bad breath. Gargle, if you need to gargle with a mouthwash, I would say just be careful you're not like gargling with toxic chemicals. But even if you brush your teeth and then gargle with the toothpaste, like y'all, brush your teeth twice a day. It's really not that hard. It blows my mind when I hear that some people don't brush their teeth like every day. That's so gross. That's so gross. And you can get really sick from that. You can get gum disease, you can get like bacteria that goes into your gums, and then I'm not trying to give anyone anxiety, but my dentist like years and years ago, she actually told me like you can die from having a bacteria travel through your gums, get into your bloodstream, and travel to your brain. And I was like, cool. But she was trying to tell me like you're supposed to floss regularly. If you have chronic bad breath, it is possible you have tonsil stones. I'm not going to show that on the screen. It's very gross. Look it up if you're not familiar with it. But our tonsils collect food and bacteria. If you're not gargling regularly, you can end up getting tonsil stones and they smell really bad. So if you're not sure about this and you have chronic bad breath, take a flashlight, get close up to a mirror and look. And if you see white stones in your tonsils, you have tonsil stones. You can typically get rid of these yourself safely with like a Q-tip, but just make sure you gargle with salt water after so that you don't like infect yourself with anything. But if it persists, you want to see a doctor about that. Having bad breath is one of the most off-putting things. So let's say you covered all the other bases that I mentioned previously. Once someone gets close enough to you and starts talking to you, if they smell bad breath, their brain is immediately like, how do I get out of this situation? I need to like abort. And if you have ever been told that you had bad breath but you couldn't smell it, that's a real problem, right? Because then how do you know when it's bad? Well, if you take all those precautions, brushing every day, twice a day, flossing, gargling, it most likely is going to go away if you don't have any tonsil stones. Do whatever you got to do, fix your breath, keep your teeth clean. Now, if you have chipped teeth, if you have uneven teeth, and you don't have the money to fix that, that's where it goes back to the accepting yourself for who you are. I've got crooked teeth. My teeth are not evenly spaced. I've never had braces, and honestly, at my age, like I think I would get maybe Invisalign or something like that, but I don't want to get veneers. To me, I'd rather have my real teeth than to have my teeth shaved, and like that gives me so much anxiety. And so I've gotten used to it. I've come to terms with it, and a lot of times, like depending on the angle in which I'm smiling, people don't necessarily see it, or at least in pictures. It's something that I've accepted. An example of someone who also accepted her teeth is Jewel, the singer, and it becomes kind of a like quirky character, visual character thing. And in some parts of the world, having crooked teeth is actually desirable. In certain parts of Asia, people are actually getting their teeth changed so that they look like they have crooked teeth. So it just goes to show you that aesthetics change around the world, but if you have clean teeth, that's what matters. If you have good breath, that's what matters. Not saying people aren't going to notice if they are, but if you can't do anything about that, at least you can have clean teeth and fresh breath. As far as hygiene goes, that also goes down to any place on your body where liquid might come out to your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, not liquid, but like making sure your ears are clean, cleaning them every few days with a Q-tip, and rubbing alcohol is a good idea. Making sure you don't have sleep in your eyes. Like look in the mirror at least once a day. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you do look in the mirror, because people who don't just don't care enough to even level up. But you know, check for stuff on your nose. Check to make sure you don't have food around your mouth. I recommend keeping a compact mirror with you in your purse if you carry a purse, or in a bag you have. It looks fashionable. Get a nice cute one that you like, that you want to show off. If anyone comments and insinuates you're being vain, just be like, I don't want to have food in my teeth, and I can't trust you to tell me if I do. Alright, going along with hygiene, back to the hair. Dandruff or dry flaky scalp. Apparently those are two different things. Apparently dandruff is a medical condition and having a dry flaky scalp is something different, but I guess with dandruff you need to have medicated shampoo. If it's just dry flakiness, it might just mean you're not thoroughly scrubbing your scalp. You don't want to like use your fingernails, you want to use the pads of your fingers, but making sure you don't have dandruff is really important because it's off-putting. Also, if you have a problem with dry scalp, you can use oil. I feel like I covered a lot in this video, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. I can do a whole separate video, in fact I will, on how to look good in photos, because that can also increase your attractiveness. But I mainly just today covered how to look attractive in person. Obviously, some of these tips will help you look attractive in photos as well, but if you follow this list, if you go down the list and you're like, check, my hair's clean, check, my teeth are brushed and my breath smells good, check, I'm sitting with my shoulders back and my heart facing out, check, check, check. Trust me, if you go from not doing these things to doing these things, you will immediately see a difference in how people treat you. No matter what it is you want in life, if it involves other people, you are going to want to be attractive to them. Not necessarily romantically, but in general. You want people to look at you and admire what they're looking at. I encourage you to start working on these things right away. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I've got a lot more content coming up to help you level up and be more attractive. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.